All right, guys, welcome. Ooh, man, I got some hamburger meat hanging out there. If you guys want the spicy content, you gotta subscribe to my OnlyFans. Welcome to Blindman Outdoors. I'm Dave, and I've been exploring my whole life, from my hometown in the Blindman River Valley to the jungles of South America. 4 years ago, I left an old life behind to chase a passion full-time. Now, I built Canada's ICECO camper and the Alberta Outdoor Adventure Expo, all while continuing to explore and experience the great outdoors. You see, I believe we're called to live free and be wild. And if you do too, then this is the place for you. I'm just kidding. I don't have an OnlyFans. It's an ongoing joke. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave, and this is Blindman Outdoors. And today, the video that we actually have for you is a little bit of a hodgepodge because this week has gotten crazy. As you can see, we've got the final bit of parts for the last ICECO camper to be made here in factory. We have moved manufacturing to a new facility, and we have a lot of really fun, awesome, exciting things coming down the pipe for you today. Just as a quick information bust out for everybody, if you guys head on over to our website at blindmanoverland.com or ICECOcampers.com, it'll take you to the same website. Sign up for our newsletter. You're gonna get a free camp spot every single month. Not only that, but our newsletter is pretty much packed with a whole bunch of cool information, a little bit about us, a little bit about the business, and just to scratch that old itch of mine from a kid reading the old mountain equipment co-op magazines and stuff. We even include some like fun crafts and stuff like that if you want to try them with the kids. Making your own bushcrafting, I think that's coming up in the next couple of months here. So lots of cool stuff on the newsletter, guys. Head on over, put your email in there, sign up for the newsletter. But this week, we also had a really big week within the shop and within the local business. So every year here in Lacombe, the District Chamber of Commerce, they send out, they put on like a Santa Claus parade. We were part of it last year. It was a big hit. We wanted to be part of it again this year. So Tyler actually took the truck and decorated it with his family for the Santa Claus parade, and him and the boys, I think his wife, went on the Santa Claus parade, and they said it was a really, really good time. This is a little bit of what that looked like, just so you guys can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. All right, and then earlier in the week, we got sent this ICECO fridge. Now, we're actually gonna play a little bit with that later on a next video. You're gonna see it a little bit more. But I did get the chance to kind of rip it open and check it out, and I'm gonna show that to you guys right here because it's actually really funky. You've probably seen this fridge online before, but as like a bit of a gear nerd, I thought it was really cool because this thing actually heats food up, which you're thinking like, well, why the heck do you need that? In winter, if you wanna stop your food from freezing, you'll be able to actually bump the temperature up there so you can kind of manage the ambient temperature inside the fridge. That's a nifty idea. In practice, I'm not sure how it's gonna work yet, but I did crack it open a little bit earlier this week, and this is what I found out. That is a nice box. I'm going to keep it. All right, guys. We're gonna do a video for these guys. This is ICECO. You've seen 1,000 videos of these coolers already, but they are a really decent product, and we're gonna put it in the van as part of our build. All right, so ICECO seems to be on a big marketing campaign right now because they've reached out to me and a few other content creators that I know of to review a really interesting take on a fridge. Now, I'm in Canada, so having something that heats things up might seem out of place. When you're running a fridge in the wintertime, being able to keep the ambient temperature from freezing is actually very cool, and that's what's inside here. When I did speak to ICECO about doing this video, I said, you know what, I'm not so sure that my audience would be keen on a small fridge. A lot of us use some of the bigger ones because of the volume, but this one in particular is very interesting. And it's interesting because for people who are living van life like full-time up here in Canada, being able to keep your food from freezing when it drops below ambient, like when it drops well below zero, is kind of a big deal, especially if you're storing your fridge in a place that isn't as heated as the rest of your cab. Like let's say you've got an Esper heater of that nature. It's a good chance that the ambient temperature inside the van isn't gonna be that warm all the time. And if your temperature is fluctuating so much in the in the ice season or in the cold season, then your food's gonna freeze thaw. So being able to actually have a fridge that can manage that really well is gonna be super interesting. So let's see what we got in the box here. So first off, we've got a 12 volt plug, a wall plug, as well as a 12 volt extension and our wall adapter. And then as we take our cellophane out here, again, you're gonna notice that this unit itself is actually quite small, and that's okay. So this one is looking pretty fancy. All right, so right out of the box, it is a very nice looking refrigerator. It's got packaging, plastic protector all the way around it, I think, front and back. No, just on the lid. And there you go. So this is a very, very small unit, actually. Now that I'm looking at it, it is quite small indeed. On the wall here, we've got some really cool information. So we've got the food type and the recommended settings for it. We've got a breakdown of the compressor as well as a classification of all the voltages and wattage that this thing is going to consume. Kind of a nifty little decal in the middle. We've got a bulb seal on the outside that's quite compressed already. It looks like it seals along the perimeter here. Now looking down into it, we see quite a small cavity. Now there's no separator, there's no space or anything in here. And so I don't think this one in particular is going to be classified as a dual zone. Everything is also touchscreen, which might actually not be that great of a thing when I first think about it, because if you've got gloves or something on, you're not going to be able to use this. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is we're just going to plug it in. Let's get this thing. So this one is interesting already off the hop. So it looks like you have to plug in your adapter for your wall charger. It's just going to use your cigarette plug, which I think is kind of funny. I suppose what it does do is it cuts down on waste. That's your cigarette plug. So even for your wall adapter, the one that plugs right into your fridge will plug right into a 12 volt socket. And then if you're powering it from the wall, you'll plug in the 12 volt socket. And this is a DC to AC converter. And it's going to convert. So this thing runs exclusively on 12 volt power. All right, so immediately we've got the fridge light that turns on and the power light that turns on. First things first, guys, so far what I'm really liking is that the light itself is down in the cooler and not on the lid. And I also see that the lid is actually just functions by a hinge mechanism right at the back. So if you look here, we've got a hinge here and a hinge here. And if we bring that lid closed, it does a really nice soft close just like that. So really nice. You don't have any of those chains or anything like that, like a keeper on the side of the fridge. That this thing's gonna hit when you try to close it. So that's pretty nice. And then again, let's see if this guy turns on. There we go, so push and hold. We got a big digital display there. It looks like we're at max setting right now. If we go into settings, we can go from eco to max. Temperature settings, you can go all the way up to +10 and all the way down to minus 18. That's pretty dang good. I mean, that means that technically this thing will be able to keep some ice cream in it. One thing right off the hop that I'm going to tell you that I think is really, really good is the amount of ventilation they have on the side here. So they've got vent holes on this side, 2 vents on this side. You got 2 handles on here. The unit itself weighs about 20 pounds and it's very intuitive. It's very simple. You got a power on and off button. You've got your setting button for whether you're going eco mode or max mode. And then you've got your temperature setting. It says here to initiate heating mode, we had to push and hold this for 2 seconds. And then the entire screen turns orange and you're now on heating mode. So now that we're on heating mode, let's see how hot we can get this thing. So we're at 55 degrees. So if we try to bring that temperature as low as possible, let's see what we can drop that down to. So we can drop it down as low as 25 25 degrees, which, what's that got to be? That can't be Celsius, right? Okay, so the book is going to tell us that the warming temperature display range is minus 20 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. It will display minus 20 if the actual temperature inside the fridge is lower than minus 4. It will display 140 degrees or 60 degrees Celsius if the actual temperature inside the fridge is higher than 60 degrees. So that's not great. What that tells me right away is that the display here isn't incredibly accurate. If the range that it's going to show you is anywhere from minus 20 to 60 degrees, it will display, if the actual temperature inside the fridge is lower than minus 20 degrees Celsius, it will display 60 degrees. If the actual temperature inside the fridge is higher than 140 degrees, it'll show 60. So I don't know what that means. That doesn't sound, I don't know what that means. I just don't know what that means. But all in all, for what we're gonna be using it for, this is the perfect addition to our van. If you're gonna be doing van life full time, you are not gonna want a small fridge like this. You're gonna want something you can at least put a jug of milk in. If you're looking for a weekender, this is the perfect weekender, I think. And it looks really sharp too. It doesn't look super industrial. It would look nice in an Overland rig. It'll look nice in a van. Let's just switch this back to cooling because that's actually what we're gonna be using it for mostly. And yeah, so really stoked about that. We're gonna put that guy over there on the shelf right now and get back to it when we're ready to throw it into the van. But so far, very pleased with the way that it looks. It's quite intuitive. It's a little too space techy for my ideal aesthetic, but it looks nice. One thing I will note right away is that there is no cage. Now I'm assuming they're going to give you a cage for the higher end models, but there's no cage here, so you're going to put your food directly on the bottom. So if you're cleaning this, you have to pull all the food out individually one at a time instead of pulling the cage out, cleaning it, and putting the cage back in. So immediately, that's one drawback I see to this model. But being able to heat things, having a low draw, and the overall aesthetic of it, I think is a win. And also the lid. The lid is very nice. Having a soft closing lid is quite nice. You still do have to put some pressure on it for it to latch, but I mean, overall, it's a really sharp looking unit. And for the average person, this is gonna work just fine for you. Overall, I think it'll work just fine for me as well. So. All right, guys, so that was the ICECO GH20 fridge. Now, obviously, that thing is gonna go in the adventure van fairly soon. The ICECO camper is not back yet from the Santa Claus parade because Tyler has been working very hard with his team over at Carriage on the new Blindman Overland soft line of products that is coming. So we're making organizers and pouches that are specific to the ICECO camper and are able to be used with the existing storage systems in the ICECO. The ICECO camper always comes with a cabinet unless you delete it, as well as MOLLE panels almost everywhere you can get them. So being able to offer products that work well with our product and you can purchase online and that are also all handmade is epic. So pretty soon those will be available. We'll let you guys know as soon as they are. We've got working prototypes. We're gonna be using them over the next few weeks. So you're sure to see them on the videos. As always, guys, live free, be wild. Remember that the Alberta Outdoor Adventure Expo is also coming up in June 20th to 22nd. Tickets are on sale right now. Go to www.aoaexpo.com. And I think that's it. Oh, newsletter. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at blindmanoverland.com as well. Hit the like and subscribe button. Drop a comment down there. Do you think you'd rock a fridge like that? Do you think you'd go with something bigger? What would you use it for? Let me know. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you on the next one.